Hey guys, in the pinned comment and in the description is the link to the locals and the Patreon. I do videos uploaded there every day, not podcasts, just behind the scenes videos. There's also links to the PayPal, to the Cash App, and to the Ko-fi. Buy me a coffee. A lot of you guys are donating like $1 to $3 a month, which is incredible. It's what I've always wanted for the show, and the goal is to get the show so that it's independent from YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify, so that if and when the new waves of censorship come and go, my show will remain independent. I think that's why you guys like it. That's why I like it, is because I'm not beholden to any advertisers. Brass tacks, the show runs on $5,000 a month. Right now, it is making about 2,000 independently from those big ones. So 60% of it is still from YouTube, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Rumble. 40% of it is from you guys. I want to get it to 100% from you guys. $1 donations, $3 donations. I will take that all day, every day, because that means the show is independent and it can keep going. If you want something in return, use the link to get Sport Drink, promo code Tommy's Podcast, or you can use the link to the Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, also promo code Tommy's Podcast. Both those links are in the description. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. Peace. And we are recording on Sunday, February 22nd, 2026 at 12:03 p.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Murray, Miss Watkins, and yeah, General Holt was going to join us, but yeah, likely story. He can't be here with us. Um, he said in our last show, because he and I just did a show, during the show, did he say somebody walked in a Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun? Did that
Yes.
happen today?
Well, they didn't walk in. They tried to get in.
We tried to.
Yeah.
That's good.
With a gasoline can.
That's good.
I didn't
Everything's
see that yet. Where'd you see that on X?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying attention this morning.
well, that's what I get. That's what I get for going offline for an hour. Well, I guess the biggest news right now, I would imagine, is the insane military buildup off Iran. Is that not?
Yeah, but actually, that's not the lead story.
What is it?
It's Mike Huckabee saying that Israel owns pretty much all the Middle East. That's not going to age well.
No.
So when you become a meme, you've lost the information war.
Yes, yes. When did he say that?
Oh, he said it with
You with Tucker?
Yeah.
Said they own or they should own?
No, that God had granted them all of that land from the Nile to, I can't remember the exact phrase in the Bible.
So not military force projection. It's theirs.
Well, if you watch
the Greater Israel Project.
Yeah. If you watch the 2.5-hour interview, it's really argumentative. It is it's shocking how argumentative it is. And I have a lot of takes on it, but the one take that really sticks front and center is, number one, why now? And number two, what was Tucker trying to accomplish? Because if he was trying to call out the Zionist movement, mission accomplished. But the question is why?
Yeah.
And more importantly, now I'm really wondering who's behind Tucker. Who is his funding source? Who is behind him? Who is driving some of these topics? Because here's the narrative right now. And this is a really dangerous narrative. The narrative is that Huckabee was basically parroting the Israeli government talking points. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I to be honest with you, I've kind of tuned out of the whole Israel conversation because I'm tired of all roads leading back to the Jews. You know, every single time there's a discussion, and I'm more focused on, you know, what's going on with the economy right now. Where's the investment in AI? And then this came out of the blue. This was in the information world. We call this one of these moments where it's a flashbulb moment where everybody was paying attention over here, and now all of a sudden the entire focus is right here, and it's across the Middle East as well. That was a shockwave, and I don't know if it was intentional or not intentional, but that shockwave rippled through the entire planet, because all in one moment it basically said this Greater Israel Project is way bigger than all of us think it is, and they said the quiet part out loud. Now, if it's true or not, who cares? It's like sitting at a negotiation table, right? You got two sides talking. This side says, hey, we can give you no taxes for 50 years. May not be true, but the other side, this side says it, this side heard it, and this side sticks with that because that's what they heard. And it's a flashbulb moment. So the whole planet heard they want to own all of the Middle East. And who knows if it's true or not, but man, that's some bad messaging at the worst possible time, because you have a massive buildup of U.S. forces that are getting ready to go and do something in Iran. At the same time, these negotiations are going on, and then somebody threw this tac nuke right in the center of the room. That doesn't end well, and it doesn't age well. So the cries for Huckabee's, resignation and to be fired are already growing, and we will see what Trump does. This will be a very telling moment, because Trump has to do something. If he doesn't do anything, then the world will see him as beholden to Israel. And that's neither one of those images are, let's just say, neither one of those are beneficial for the U.S. But more importantly, this will be a litmus test for Susie Wiles, because if she's handling damage control, that hasn't worked out for her. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to blow up. Let's see how it blows up. How much fratricide there is. And to be honest with you, the Muslim community has their own set of Torahs that outline, who owns what tribes were where, and they can't even agree on them. And Christians can't even agree on, some of the versions of the Old Testament and the New Testament. So I consider this part of the same biblical dialectic that's been going on for thousands of years. It's just misplaced timing for this conversation to happen. This was the worst possible time for this conversation to happen. And the part that sticks in my craw is why was Tucker so adversarial? Well, I mean, he's talking to the ambassador to Israel. The ambassador to Israel is like talking to Colonel Sanders, right? Give us all the secrets to your fried chicken. He's not going to do that. Right? He's not going to tell you how the chicken's made. He's not going to tell you how the chicken university goes or how many people go through it a year. Right? That's not his job. His job is to represent us, the U.S. For the state of Israel. Okay. So he's got a very finite amount of talking points that he can even discuss. Yeah. And why he went off script, I don't know. But talk about throwing a grenade under your seat. I mean, well, Tucker, the Greater Israel Project.
Yeah. And then why? Why now?
Mm-hmm. It's the why now.
That's the biggest, is regardless of what they said. Yeah, Colonel.
So I have a completely different take on all of this.
Well, please, I
think given the amount of time that we have, there's a lot of things that have simmered underneath the narrative for a very long time. The entire Zionist movement and what has been transpiring in the United States as a result of it. And I'm not talking about Jewish people. I'm talking about the Zionist movement. And it is, in my mind, completely separate. So if the narrative that Trump is under the control of the Zionist movement, there's no better way to address that than confronting the Zionist movement. And again, I'm not talking about Jewish people. I'm talking about the Zionist movement. So I've had this sneaking suspicion that the reason why we have this massive amount of military presence is because there has been intelligence that would indicate something is going to happen and we're there to preempt it happening. Whether it was a strike contemplated by the Zionist in charge of Israel on Iran, or whatever that is, that we are there to address it. Just like with all of the neocons being exposed on the Venezuelan operation, you have President Trump ran on not getting us involved in foreign wars. And you had an entire neocon population that were chomping at the bit to put boots on the ground in Venezuela. Did it happen? No. It's not going to happen in Iran either. And so I kind of look at what's going on as preempting what was going to go on and making a very strong statement. Those of us who are sitting out here in the audience have no idea what the intelligence is that they're operating off of. So we just have to trust in President Trump's ability to negotiate through this current situation. As far as the interview goes, there wasn't a lot of discretion on timing. So there obviously was the X fight between Tucker and Huckabee. They were going back and forth on X. Tucker just threw out, hey, I'm willing to fly over there at my expense and sit down and talk with you. The beginning of that interview talks about the links that he had to go through just to get the interview, and then the security around the interview. And I think the exposure operation is so critically important because it exposes people. And I don't like using these terms, but let's just use them anyway for expedience. The right neocons were the first to go, oh, Tucker's lying because look, he's hugging one of the Israeli guys that he supposedly says was harassing him. That's not what happened at all. He explained that. That was his driver while he was there, and he wanted a picture with Tucker. And you know that you do that when you're a celebrity. You put your arm around the guy. So the diffusing of all of the misinformation that was captured in like the first 20 minutes of his video was hilarious to me. And it put all of those people that jump on these narratives with no context whatsoever in the spotlight. And Tucker brilliantly exposed a lot of false information about Huckabee. The fact that he said that he had only ever met Pollard twice, when in fact, Huckabee was one of the biggest champions for him being returned to Israel.
Yeah.
He literally lied.
Yeah. And he said one thing that jogged my memory. That's a good call out, because the other thing that he called out was the fact that this guy wanted to go to Israel, and Israel is a place where all criminals go to escape prosecution. And he said it like 2 or 3 times, that's a salient point. That's it.
Yes.
That's him digging in and reminding the audience that this is a safe haven for criminals. And he talked about Barat, and he talked about, I can't remember the current president, former prime minister, I think it was.
Yes.
Anyway, called him out, directly called them out.
Yes.
Right. And
yes.
And of course the lawfare starts as soon as the interview is over. All these, all the lawyers come out and start swinging. But that's a salient point. And it really did. The other thing it exposed, which is a good call out, is it exposed how even Huckabee can't explain this right to return. I can't even remember. I can't remember how it was called, but the right to basically repatriate to Israel, and that he couldn't define if it was ethnic or if it was political,
correct,
or religious, for the determination if you're considered a Jew that can go back and live in the homeland.
Birthright.
And yes. it was very telling. But it's just like the interview he did with Ted Cruz, right? He made Ted Cruz look like a complete moron, because you don't even know the issues that you're so vehemently supporting, and that's what this showed. So
that's why I think the timing is critical. Because if you can put to bed some of these narratives for what's the next step is going to require, because this all's going to go back to the Gaza determination.
I was going to say that all roads lead back to the Gaza situation.
Yes. And exposing, and to your point, Steve, Huckabee's job is to represent the United States. Did he represent the United States? Not a single time in that interview did he represent the United States. He was representing Israel the entire time. He was talking about Israel's talking points, the state of Israel. he was basically regurgitating everything that Israel once heard. And Tucker has every right as an independent journalist to question in a very aggressive way someone whose job it is to represent the United States in a foreign country when, by all appearances, he's representing the foreign country.
Yeah.
And I think that interview.
You added that clearly.
Yes. Yes. And so then it makes people start going back, which they've done all day and yesterday on X, talking about that entire narrative. And to your point about what constitute the Jewish right of return narrative, because they've never been able to articulate, because there's a lot of people that's converted to Judaism, and they're not a DNA Jewish person, whatever that is, and are they afforded the same rights? And does the whole narrative about all of these criminals going back to Israel for protection, I think, is something that has to be dealt with. But I will say this as well. There's a lot of criminals that have been harbored in the United States where we've refused extradition as well. And the one that stands out biggest in my mind is the Archbishop Marcinkus, who was intimately involved in the illicit drug trafficking money being laundered through the Vatican Bank. So when it got around to figuring out that not only actually happened, but how the country of Italy was going to hold the people accountable, and they wanted to question Marcinkus, he magically, because he was originally from the Chicago Archdiocese, he weirdly enough resigns and is resettled in Arizona. And for years, the Italian government tried to get him extradited to Italy to be questioned. The United States refused to allow him to go, or make him go, I should say. That's happened repeatedly for us as well. And so I think that conversation needs to be understood, that is a very common practice among states, even when criminality is involved.
So I don't even necessarily personally disagree with the criticism of Israel. I think that they shouldn't be immune from criticism. They shouldn't be immune from outsourced favor from the United States. But I'm going to just couch that as, just look at it as a talking point. Back to what Steve said. Why are we seeing it now? Regardless if I'm on board for it or not, regardless if we're talking about Israel or Madagascar, why are we seeing it right now? Because none of this is new. The APAC has always had an outsized influence on us. None of this is new. Why February 22nd, 2026 is this thing coming on board? That's my curiosity. And it could be that there is no reason. It's just an organic. Okay, maybe, doubt it, but maybe. Why now? Especially when, I don't know, we're moving a third of the U.S. Navy off the coast of Ireland.
I think that's exactly why it's happening now.
Those two little canards. When was the last time that happened? When we were, where else was it? The buildup of Iraq and also over there. Okay.
And don't forget the buildup before 91.
Also over there.
Yeah. Took us 6 months.
So,
yeah.
But to what Colonel Watkins said, we also had I think they said the buildup off Venezuela was larger since GWAT, and it didn't, knock on wood, turn into a boots on the ground operation. So why this? The funniest possible thing will be if at 2 a.m. tonight, Trump truths a picture of the Ayatollah, and since the Ayatollah is on the USS Iwo Jima, I'll shit my pants laughing if this happens again. If he snags another, is the funniest thing ever.
Well, it's bigger than just the Ayatollah, right? There's
if he kidnaps
a whole
Bibi,
apparatus. There's a whole apparatus there that needs to be.
But the point being is, why is this happening now during this insane historic buildup? That to me is interesting.
Well, Trump, he's done this twice now.
I think the two are related.
Yeah. He's done this twice now. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that he's got another alternative motive, and everybody's like, we're going to bomb Iran. I said it in the chat that if he does that, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in this century. Right. And I just don't think he's that dumb. I really don't. I think because he could have attacked last month. Everything I heard last month was that we were gearing up for some kind of a strike, and he pulled back at the 11th hour. And the folks that I've been talking to have been telling me the same thing. There's a group of military people, senior military leaders, that are saying there's no win there. No matter what you think, there's no win. There's no decisive blow that's going to drive regime change. This has to be negotiated. I believe that, because all the indications is that we are trying to negotiate, but we're upping the pressure. And what's the end state? We replace him with the Shah's son. I mean, he's not even Persian. Why would we do that? So there's a lot of dynamics there that can only happen through negotiation. And look, we can all agree that we suck at nation building. We suck at that. Wholeheartedly, we suck at that. I know I was on the ground watching that suck happen. And we didn't suck less. We sucked more every single day. And we couldn't suck less even if we tried to suck less. Everything just sucked more. Like my favorite conversation about how bad it sucked was, well, we're paying them not to shoot at us. Well, they're still shooting at us, so I guess that's not working.
Colonel Watkins, you said you don't think they're unrelated. Could you expand on that?
I don't. And so going back to the analogy, since we were just talking about it, the whole second Iraq war in 2003 was based on Israeli intelligence. I mean, that's a well-known fact now. And most of so I assume everybody knows that there's basically two different Saudi Arabia regimes, the one prior to MBS and the one that's there now. Very different motives, very different affiliations. And the previous one was basically lockstep with Israel against the other players in that area. And so when you look at how both Desert Storm and Iraqi Freedom worked out, to Steve's point, while Desert Storm could be considered a win, the entire thing was based on a false premise. The same thing is true with Iraqi Freedom. And I think that destabilization narrative that was going on in the Middle East was primarily to the benefit of Israel. And so there has to be an exposure of both the intent and what's behind all of that. And I think that's all. I think Tucker kind of launched us about a year ahead on that interview with Huckabee in that time frame. But if Israel is feeding, and this is an if Israel is feeding us information that is not true, and of course they're the ones saying that they're a week away from, uranium, the bomb, and all of this other stuff, and we've been a week away.
You've been a week away from my whole life.
Yes. And two things can't be true at the same time in this scenario. We can't have knocked it out with the bombing of that capability, and then at the same time, they're still a week away from it. So I think, again, if you're paying attention to what's going on, it's getting more and more ridiculous for people to believe the talking points that are being told to it. And I think that's the way you wake people up is no, they can't be a week away if this other thing is true. And then all over X today and yesterday was people talking about the old headlines. They're a week away. They're a week away. They're a week away. So I do think a lot of people are
Well,
focused on it now.
yeah, they've been a week away for 10 years plus.
50.
Yeah, it's like every year.
But to what Colonel Watkins was saying, I was just thinking about this the other night. Like, kind of the whole one of my quote, you'll know them by their fruits, just in general. Like, I get that a lot with guests. Like, doesn't matter what they say, if they're kissing your ass or if they're being mean, you can always just tell as weeks and months and years go by. Have you grown as a person? Did the show do well? Have they helped you network? Have you helped them network? And it doesn't, what is the end result? Are you a better person? Are you more aware of blah, blah, blah? And then and then you can look back and go, oh, that guy seemed awesome, but fuck him. Or, she was kind of a dick, but wow, man, that she actually made me a much better interview, blah, 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 blah. To know them by their fruits of just, I don't know, the last 2 years, maybe even from October 7th till now, is criticism of Israel that I don't think we've ever seen. Maybe I'm just aware of it now. That is not only happening, but in the Overton window of acceptance that I've never seen before. That's how I look at it, as like, that is what's happening. Is it organic? Is it emergent? Or is it directed? I don't know. But they have, for my entire life, it has always been untouchable. You cannot touch them. And now it's really like the only Venn diagram of the far left and the far right is agreement on them. That's fascinating to me.
Yes.
It seems like there's an information operation against them. That's what's fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
And don't even attach values of good or bad. I'm on Team America. I personally don't give a shit. Fuck them. But like, for anyone listening, don't even attach values of good or bad. It is happening. That is interesting to me.
And they can't stop it. As much as they want to censor it, they can't stop it.
Correct.
And the old adage of anti-Semitism no longer applies.
No, it doesn't. See, I hate everyone outside of America. It's just there is no term for anti-China or anti-Russia. Yeah. Israel has their own special term. Yes. I'm anti everyone that's not us. You can't just have a special term. Like I would say, sorry to interrupt you, Colonel, but like, there's no anti-Tommyism. If you go on like Tommy, it's probably because I'm being a dick. You go, well, that's very anti-Carrigan. No,
that's what Tucker showed us, right? Is it that these guys are all fucking thugs? Like this, the whole Israel is a police state. I don't care what anybody says. It's a police state. I've been on the Gaza Strip. You don't move a fucking grain of sand there unless they know about it. Not one grain of sand in that place, and they know exactly where it moved to. So I don't buy any of the narrative about October 7th. That was a bunch of horseshit.
Well, how can you have a handler for every Congress member and know what's going on the other side of the world?
They're fucking thugs.
You just don't know what's going on next to you?
Yeah, they're just dicks. And they're arrogant dicks, and let me say this. Let me put this in context so everyone knows why I'm saying this. I've interacted with enough of them and enough of the security forces. Like they have a very real threat. There is a very real threat there, right? Nobody disputes that. It's the way they conduct themselves and even more so since Trump's come into office, they've gone way over the top in the whole arrogance and the whole exposure of AIPAC and how AIPAC has compromised all the senators and all the congressmen and how they dictate policy and how, Jewish oligarchs are dictating policy. And then now this newest revelation with Roberts and Eisen and that relationship where he's the lawfare guru. First of all, I do not know why the head of the Supreme Court is not in prison at this very moment for collusion and for fraud. That is just the fact that he has that inappropriate relationship and he went on this guy's dime to influence policy and the outcome of the Supreme Court should land him into prison for the rest of his life. But that shows you how compromised the system is. So part of the disclosure, the part of your disclosure argument, I definitely agree with. There's a part that I can't get my head around. And that's the adversarial part of why Tucker was so adversarial. Maybe these two guys just hate each other. Maybe they've just worked together long enough and I just despise you, but I'm going to do this and be cordial, but you're still a dick. Right?
In terms of
that's what I saw. But, in
terms of all possibilities, or they're working together and they purposely did it to just blow it up. I mean,
Tucker's not that good of an actor. Sorry. He's not that good of an
again,
actor.
know them by their fruit. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Or they don't necessarily have to be read in. Maybe they're both, you're right, just standoffish assholes.
Yeah, and and the other thing I'm geeking out about is you're probably right, Roxanne, and it just pisses me off that you're right and I didn't call it out first. That's all.
So let me go. I'd like to, because, I fancy myself as an amateur historian and I just love sharing the stuff that I find totally amazing. To your point about the arrogance. So I was doing some background information or research into all of these different scenarios in the Middle East that we were all told happened one way, when in fact, if you go back and you do research, they happened a completely different way. So we all know, and it came up in the conversation about the Marine barracks being blown up, right? And that was all blamed on Iran, of course. So interestingly enough, when I went back and started researching that, there was, and I'd love to get your take on this, Steve, from a guy on the ground. During when the Marines were deployed there, we were supposed to be working jointly with Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had our own sector, the Marines did. And Israel had the southern sector, which was our flank. And there was repeated instances where Israel was actually harassing the Marines there. They were coming in and like militarily, not like verbally, militarily harassing the Marines. The Marines would run it up the chain of command. Nothing would happen. The Marine commander got so frustrated on the ground with what Israel was doing, being aggressive militarily to U.S. troops, that he personally contacted the commandant of the Marine Corps. The commandant of the Marine Corps talked to the SecDef repeatedly, and the SecDef would do literally nothing about it. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Weinberger at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how the Pentagon works. When you do it verbally and you get frustrated, you put that shit in writing.
Mm-hmm.
The commandant of the Marine Corps wrote a letter to SecDef Weinberger telling him that what Israel was doing to the U.S. Marines on the ground was completely unacceptable. I didn't even know that memo existed.
Yeah,
it is
true.
in writing.
Yeah, it's true.
You also then couple that with the fact that Israel had intelligence that they did not share, that they knew exactly where the van was that was being retrofitted with the explosives and the modifications, because they had a source on the ground. They had an informant. They never told the U.S. troops that that was happening because they didn't want to burn their source.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Every bit about that barracks blowing up could have been avoided.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
Yeah. And your blood's boiling right now, isn't it?
That's our ally.
Yeah. And that's how the CIA operates too. That's why I have a deep psychotic hatred for them, because that's exactly how they operate. They would burn all of our forces on the ground just so they don't compromise one of their sources.
Correct.
And yeah, and all that's true. I heard all that. Man, when did I hear that back in the
one
late
guy,
90s?
I didn't know any of that until like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, I've known that for a long time.
One guy, one informant, and they let hundreds of U.S. citizens die for one foreigner.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that the SecDef knew what was happening and knew before the memo and knew that was going on.
Oh, the commandant had many conversations with him.
No, I mean, he knew
about the actual
he knew
thing.
Yeah,
about
he
the actual
knew
thing.
well, the way I heard it is he was in communication with the Israeli defense minister about the very same thing and basically was told to lay off. Now, who knows if that's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me. Now, who told him to lay off is the
Strikes me
question.
wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, plausible deniability is a beautiful thing at times. But yeah, it should make your blood boil because that's a repeated pattern throughout history. I mean, look at the USS Liberty. I mean, the truth finally came out about that and shows what a shitbag Johnson was. And that not only did he direct no action, he directed, stand down, just like in Benghazi. Carter Ham. I worked for Carter Ham in the desert. I'd follow that guy through the gates of hell. Great guy. He got railroaded. And I don't care what anybody says. He was visibly upset about not being able to send forces. He was pissed.
For the Liberty, they recalled 2 launches. 2 launches off of carriers to go help those guys were recalled. One at the SecDef level and the second one at the president's level.
The best recounting of that, I think, is in James Bamford's book, might be Puzzle Palace. It's about the NSA. It was kind of surprising that it's in there. That's the best chat. There's a whole chapter. It is so.
There's a whole book called Operation Cyanide that I've read about it. I interviewed Phil on my show about the USS Liberty, one of the survivors.
And it's so number one, they're not our ally. And you also have to understand that if they're going to do that to us, then we need to be able to do that to them. And I don't mean that go out and kill them. What I mean is look after yourself before anyone else. Because that's what it really is they're looking after themselves. It's like when people say like, when didn't we arrested a couple sailors, I think, for selling information to the Chinese, and then some smooth brain on Twitter was like, but a Chinese general just sold information to us. It's like, well, that's how it works. Is you're trying to fuck them and not be fucked by them. Like that is how the world works. That's how I look at it. No part of me is like, yeah, go nuke Tel Aviv. I'm like, no, just with the same ruthless across the line standardization, we should look after ourselves and nobody else. If that's
that was how the founding fathers. That's how the founding fathers
beware foreign entanglements. Yes,
our foreign policy was that we serve our own self-interest first, and we negotiate with other nations where it's beneficial for them, but serves our national interests.
Yeah,
that should be first and foremost, right? And then the whole black. And by the way, did you catch Lex Wessner's testimony, where basically he was told that you stop. Yeah, well, he said the quiet part out loud.
I'll fucking kill you if you answer in more than 5 words.
I was told by the Rothschilds to do that.
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just saw the
that's
lawyer.
That's why he was threatened. I mean, he's like 90. He doesn't care. He could kick off tomorrow, right?
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
He's at the age where he's like looking around going, what's a guy got to do to die around here, right?
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
That's where he's at. So he doesn't care. But, supposedly when he said that, the whole room was like, whoa, wait, what? So,
why are we seeing all this hell frozen over stuff? Hell's freezing over daily in regards to Israel.
Yes.
Like, this is where I'm getting at. Like,
but it shows you that Israel wasn't completely behind it, if that's true. That means that the European super bankers were the ones that were directing this shit, which leads to what EM says, which pisses me off because it means he's right. And I have to listen to him tell me he was right. Yeah. And then I have to listen to both of them tell me they were right, which, it's excruciating. It's like listening to the Navy fight song. It's just excruciating.
Which, though, goes back to the point of this international syndicate. Why is Israel even there? The Rothschilds.
The Balfour Declaration.
Yes.
Which wasn't hardly theirs to give away. Yeah.
Yes. And that's all derivative from the Fabian Society, which basically funded the creation and the mantra of Zionism. So this all goes back to a very long time ago. And as I realized in this years long of research is the purpose of setting up these entities post-World War II was basically under an umbrella called the strategy of tension. And you have hot points geographically located that you can use to create destabilization in geographically sensitive areas. Like the island of Formosa was turned into Taiwan and is the Asian hotspot. post World War II, right? If you want shit to be destabilized in Asia, you just do something with Taiwan. If you want something destabilized in the Middle East, you just do something with Israel.
They're very valuable whatever you want to call it, an outpost, a ping,
They are a destabilization agent to do the work of these nefarious people.
I mean, you can do the game Watch Dogs, where you're just a faggoty, like you're a hacker man 9000, whatever. The best thing to do in it though is like you can just set off little IEDs, or
Yes.
you can hack people's phones. So you can call the cops on a group of gangbangers, and then you can text the gangbangers that the cops are working for the whatever. They'll start shooting, and then you just waltz on it and take the thing. That's all this really is. It's just boop, beep. Like that's what it is. On the most simplistic term, that's extremely valuable.
Yes, it is.
And it goes back to Trump's Council on Peace and Trade this week was on Thursday, I believe, was highly successful. And it was, did you see the clip of the Ecuadorian president? Like he's the youngest guy in the room, and he's like, what we see now is we see hope. We see the ability to negotiate for not only resource allocation, but resource extraction and resource processing, as well as creating opportunities in all of these states that forever were stuck in deadlock.
Yes.
Negotiating terms that were never solved, and now we're solving. He's making deals. That to me is the most successful thing of the entire presidency right now. The fact that that moment happened, because that tells me that tells me that Trump has realized that the path forward, despite all the domestic stuff, is we have to get fair trade. We have to get resource allocation moving, and we have to get manufacturing back here. We need to start bringing resources out of the ground and building factories to produce it here. And my guess is he's setting conditions to do that more than anything else, because he knows the political landscape. I get the feeling that he thinks that the midterms are a slam dunk and that they've got an ace in the hole, because he sure doesn't give two shits about the domestic situation right now. And all I see is these Democrats running around going, Trump's mentioned 38,000 times in the Epstein files, and that shows he's a pedophile. And we got a president that's a pedophile. And it's the same rat-a-tat-tat. My question is, why isn't Kash Patel arresting people? Like, arrest someone, arrest them.
Because he's retarded and complicit.
I don't know.
He
Dude.
is arresting people, but you have to have the priorities. The DOJ, and I know everybody has lots of bad things to say about the DOJ, but I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to build the cases, because these are not simplistic cases to build when you're building a conspiracy case. So the FBI is very busy rounding up all of their underlings that can do false flags in the United States. They are in all of these cities. They are making arrest after arrest after arrest every day. If you go to the DOJ website and you look at all of the different cases being brought, they're taking people out of the country. ICE is busy at work in a lot of these big hubs that harbor gangbangers, which, as far as I'm concerned, are basically just terrorists. And all of that is going on. You have to give their field operators off the field while they're building their conspiracy cases. And I think we're going to see all of that.
I hope so, because I want to see Brennan perked walk, and I want to see him sitting in his cell in Gitmo, tossing salad. Him and Clapper and Hayden and all the rest of those shitbags.
Yes.
And
I think that was what the critical piece of Venezuela was, because Trump knew with that latest, all of the election interference was coming out of Venezuela. If you've got Maduro sitting in here, how valid is that?
Yeah, it's a non-trivial statement that he said last week. He said, what do you say, next week or in 2 weeks I'm gonna release information about the foreign interference in the 2020 election. It's like, that's a non-trivial thing to, and then also be like, and I kidnapped this president.
Yes, that you guys have all been out on the streets saying was behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I am still hopeful and positive, right? Because of the Fulton County thing as well as the Maricopa thing. And then what you said, Steve, like big picture, you only talk about these things, right? Resource allocation, free trade, manufacturing, resource extraction. You don't go for those pie in the sky dreams unless whatever mechanisms are needed to push towards it. Like you don't just blindly pursue this, which tells me like that with along with the seemingly information operation against Israel. These all seem like, for lack of a better phrase, they've got the receipts or they've got the money behind the check. That's what it feels like to me because you don't go because if what we're all kind of theorizing or postulating is true, like you've talked about Watkins about the international syndicate and it's a rechanging of global order. This is like a 4-year thing where it's I voted for them to do this. You're talking about a fundamental shifting of
Correct.
world power,
Correct.
which means that you also
Mhm.
don't go into this if you don't have it locked or
Yeah.
a very good high probability of having it locked.
Yes.
Well,
That's my
and the other thing
positivity.
yeah, no, you're spot on because the other part of this equation that most people don't consider is we're trying to counter China's production capacity. We're trying to build automation into because this has to, and again, this is going to piss people off, but it's true, right? We have to build automation with all these factories, which means there's not going to be like 40,000 workers on the ground. There's going to be a lot of robotics, there's going to be a lot of AI, and there's going to be a lot of, let's just say, industry knowledge that's not in people's heads because we haven't done this in over 40 years. We offshored all of our production capacity to China years ago, and now we need to bring it back on shore. And we don't have the knowledge base to be able to stand up. Like, how many guys know how to take iron out of the ground and turn it into steel? There's not many of those guys left. Most of them are dead. So the reality is we're going to have to rely on automation. So the other thing we're seeing too is we're seeing Google, Meta, and some of the others investing heavily in AI. And we're going to see a revolution not only in that, but we're going to see a revolution in coding, which typically has been a human activity for years and years and years, right? And AI is still a lot, very retarded when it comes to code, but we're going to see it progress and we're going to see a transition. Now, Trump's smart enough to know that there needs to be human interaction, all these for quality's sake, because there's only so much the machines can do,
Right.
given the resources that they're given to be able to make quality product on the other side. And I think he and his group have thought through these are the priorities we have to have, and these are things we need to accomplish, and this is the noise level we can sustain throughout this. I tend to think that this push for, like, I look here in Arizona, there's at least 4 chip plants going in here, at least 4, right, not even 5 miles away from me over here in the desert is the Taiwan chip plant. It is the biggest thing you've ever seen. Like they ran water from Lake Pleasant to keep this thing cool, and it's a massive complex. It's almost a square mile. It's that big. It's huge. So Trump is no dummy, and this started before Trump came back into office, but now they've laid ground on like 3 more here. There's one in South Arizona. There's one outside of Mesa, and then we're seeing an uptick in building not just logistical centers but ports of entry. So then now there's a whole host of shit that goes along with these ports of entry, given Katie Hobbs and Doug Ducey and Greg Abbott. So I want to see some resolution of that. But that said, Trump is getting ready to bring in materials that are already processed to be able to manufacture. That's what it looks like. That's what the logistics looks like on the ground right now. And I work in the logistics business, and I can tell you that the demand for both defense and government contracts has grown exponentially just since Trump's been in office. In fact, I spent all week doing that, dealing with security related matters with logistics and supply chain. So there's a concerted effort right now to rebuild the defense industrial complex to where we can actually build shit quickly and not just drones. So take that for what it's worth. So there's a lot going on the logistical side of the house right now. I mean, let's face it, it's part of the reason why I'm still working, because I enjoy the shit out of this, even though, my day job is kicking my ass. It's really interesting to see what's happening and to be a part of it. So,
Well, and in so many words, what that really is national sovereignty.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, it was a Hamiltonian, the Hamiltonian foreign policy model that was referenced this week, or it was John Hancock. I can't remember which one. Anyway, spot on. I mean, Trump's obviously has some. He's got some folks around him that have read the Federalist Papers and have studied American history once this country was built, and he's trying to take us back to that model. And it's clear he's trying to do that.
Stephen Miller and Ruby they're not retarded, and they're not fence sitters. That's what I like.
Lutnick needs to be in fucking prison. I don't care if he's good, bad, or indifferent. The fact that he's in the Epstein files and the way he's in the Epstein files, perp walk him, fuck him.
Yeah.
He can consult from jail to get a nicer jail cell.
Yeah.
That's what he can do.
The
fact that he was a business partner of Epstein's, just like Peter Thiel, prison. See ya. Love you. Have a good time. We'll call you.
I personally, I hope Trump's just taking on Andrew Jackson. Just, was it talking to the bank? You are a den of vipers, and by the will of God, I intend to rout you out, and by God Almighty, I will rout you out. And then he almost beat to death his attempted assassin with a cane. I don't know how that ties into this conversation. I tend to look at Andrew Jackson as a spirit animal that we should all strive for. I don't know if you knew that. His security pulled him off his assassin because he was almost going to kill him. He was beating him till he was bloody with his fucking cane. It's fantastic.
As he should.
Yeah. I don't know how that ties to anything, but again, Andrew Jackson. But yeah, I mean,
that's not salient to the conversation at all. But
I don't care.
Just thought I'd throw it in there.
You don't need to be salient. If you have Andrew Jackson energy, nothing matters. You just go beat the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, the one thing that I am paying attention to right now is the economic stuff, because there are some indicators that are kind of scary right now. Get away from the managed and the manipulated markets. If we see Europe go into chaos, which it's, again, they've called the last 3 crashes 10 times. So, who knows how accurate it is, but I am watching that to see what's happening there. I'm also watching a lot of this AI development. The AI scares the shit out of me for a lot of reasons. And it just boils down to there's no fucking guardrails. And you got a guy like Sam Altman, who's clearly on the spectrum, clearly a psychopath, and he's in charge of one of the biggest AI companies on the planet. Talking about how AI is learning faster than we can shut it down. Okay, I think that's a fucking problem.
Yeah. And it's not you almost yearn for the days of thermonuclear weapons where you're like, it might run away and destroy the planet. This is different. It's like it's runaway intelligence. Yeah, that's just that little canard in the background.
Well, Elon put it the best, right? I thought his example about misgendering was absolutely salient.
That was brilliant. AI will destroy the world so that there's 0% chance of anyone being misgendered.
Right. If there's nobody on the planet, then there's nobody to misgender. That's how AI thinks. That's why you need guardrails. And God bless him for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a spy or if he works for the CIA or if it's a CIA production or if he's a WEF, I don't care. But God bless him for that statement, because that was true.
I look at him the same way, to kind of know them by their fruits. I don't think anyone's
does
perfect.
Not fit any CIA model that I've come across yet.
He looked, it seems that he is more than 51% pro-America and pro-human. That's kind of how I look at it. Just know them.
It comes across that way. Yeah.
Certainly. If buying Twitter and restoring free speech was an act, whatever.
Well, he didn't dox and he didn't fire anybody from the FBI, CIA, NSA, or former intelligence apparatus.
I get you.
So,
but
I still got a bug in my ass about that one.
But we're at a better point with it than not.
I would agree, but
I'm with
freedom of reach, freedom of speech, not freedom of reach.
I get you.
They're still shadow banning the shit out of people, and that gets under my skin too.
Yeah, I would be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watch your posts and I say, "What? This is like 6 views, really?" So,
no, well, everybody is. If you're not shadow banned, you're fed.
Well, and to that, it's so funny because
wait, let me check my bank account. No.
Yeah.
Even people in my circle that I'm on DM group chats with, there was a post this morning where somebody talked about AOC's background and how it basically dovetails into the CIA. I posted, months and months ago about her the college, Boston, and the fact that she was immediately in USAID, which is CIA, and she just so happens to be in a country just prior to a coup on her USAID trip. And somebody else posted today basically the same information, and somebody in, this group was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, dude, I posted that months ago. So it is definitely freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach.
Take it from someone that's been doing this show for 6 years. You really do just kind of have to sit back and be like, if my intention is to do the right thing and for the information to get out, then you have to accept that that's probably all you're gonna get.
Yes,
You'd like the credit, you'd like the money, you'd like the. That doesn't matter. It really, yep.
I don't even want the credit. I want people to be able to see it.
Sure.
And I don't make any money. This has cost me a fortune to do this. So it's not about the money and it's not about the credit. I would like people to have the information. And it is definitely a lot of people are hampered from seeing that information.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, kind of big picture, everything we've talked about in this last hour. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic in that it seems there seems to be a method to the madness. There seems to be an overarching direction. In my opinion, I'm biased. I like Trump. It doesn't seem like it's solely running around putting out fires. It does seem like there is a compass heading that we're going in, and we might not get there the way it was planned, but in general, it seems like that's where we're going. So now I could be wrong, and in 12 hours, there's 100,000 Marines in Tehran, but like, I don't. He didn't do it in Venezuela. He did the one and done bombing last summer or whatever the fuck they hit Iran. I'm confident, or at least cautiously optimistic. So I don't know, but we can bring it up to a close. We've been going for about an hour. Closing thoughts, Colonel Watkins, Colonel Murray.
No, that's exactly the way I feel. And I think the way it's being done is exposing so much to so many people, because it is an information war, and exposing the people that are behind these narratives and agenda is critically important if you're going to get to an end state that is stable. You can't have these people still buried into the system. And I think with every single one of these, as days go by and they expose themselves as not being America first while pretending to be in the America first movement, the best example of that is Turning Points. I don't know if you followed that narrative of that guy that I don't even remember what his name is, but he came out, he's a spokesperson for Turning Points, and said basically, we're endorsing Greg Abbott because he's got money. I mean, he basically said that, where you have, Doc running around, and he's America first. Through his soul, he's America first.
Yeah, I've had him on here.
And that to me was one of the biggest exposures. And if you have to understand that it is going to take a little bit of time to get all of that network exposed. And I'm with you, Tommy. I'm cautiously optimistic that that's exactly what's happening.
And by the way, it's PeteChambers.org if you want to give money to Pete Chambers, and he deserves. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I was literally just talking to his campaign guy as you were talking about. It cracks me up. Talk about 1 degree of separation.
He's the man.
Yeah, I mean, and I said that on a post. I think that guy at Turning Points did more to help than anything else, because they're basically exposing how the system works.
Well, you have to root out the insurgents before you can clean up the system, and that's been apparent. I mean, even here we're seeing the insurgents come out, like Andy Biggs, like, dude, what are you voting for illegals for? What is your problem? Like they
Yes.
want him to be the next governor or Karen Robeson, and neither one of those shitbags deserve it. So, God, I was going somewhere with it. Completely lost my train of thought when you started talking about Pete. But yeah, if you could give to Pete, please do, because he's a great guy. We all know him personally. He's a great guy. He's a real thing. He really is the real thing.
Yeah.
So if we can get one guy like that in a governor's office, especially in Texas, there's hope for the rest of the country. So do what you
Especially in
can.
Texas.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just because I want to see that shitbag Abbott thrown in jail, treason shitbag. Anyway,
We're going to have to build, if Steve's in charge for 5 minutes, we're going to have to build more jails.
It'll create a lot of jobs. I'm all
nope,
for it.
nope. I'm just gonna wall off San Francisco and call it Fucktardistan and throw everybody in there like Escape from New York. All right, you guys can go rape, chew, whip, gobble, fondle, whatever you want to do. We're going to put it on national TV, but if you come over the wall, you're getting shot. Have at it. Love
Still
you.
a jobs program. You'd have to build the wall.
Is
That's fine with
Alcatraz
me.
good? Is Alcatraz
Way too
Yeah.
small.
Alcatraz should be for the hardcore, right? That's where the Brennans go. That's where the Obamas
Okay.
go. That's
All
where
right.
the
I'm with that.
Clintons go. Because then they can sit in those dark, cold, really, really awful cells and
Okay.
just beat their brains out against those concrete
What about the
walls.
moon? That would be the ultimate prison.
Nope. Nope.
Lunar Gitmo.
Nope.
No.
Nope. The best penance for those shitbags is to strip them of their wealth, strip them of their power, strip them of any ability to influence anyone, put them in a cell that isn't padded, and then lock the door and then televise it. Like, here's Hillary Clinton crawling to the bathroom because she's really sick and we're not helping her.
President Murray. President Murray, based on Andrew Jackson. We'll wrap it up. Colonel Watkins, Colonel Murray, thank you both for the time out of your day. I will upload this right after. Everybody listening, please go in the description. Please go follow their Twitters and their Rumbles. Yeah, guys, thank you so much as always. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yep. Good to be here.
All right, guys. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. 3 quick organizations that I try to help through the podcast. I don't take any money from, and I wouldn't if they offered. First and foremost is ARC, the Association for the Recovery of Children. That's led by Basil Baz. It's been around since 1993. They physically liberate sex-trafficked children. They get about 10 to 12 kids a year. I've got a fundraiser thrown for them before. You can go to the link in the description. You can donate, I think, as little as $1. It's tax deductible. They are truly doing the Lord's work. This isn't an awareness campaign. This isn't wristbands. They physically go in, kick down doors, and liberate children who are raped daily. They're doing the Lord's work. If you can go help them, you can go give $1. You can also take their training programs and do your best to help spot human trafficking in the world around you. It really is. If there's anything that this podcast accomplishes on this earth, I think it should be to help them. The second group is Invest, like a vest, a bulletproof vest, led by Mike Letts. 25% of police precincts in the United States cannot afford to give and this is true, cannot afford to give their officers cars, weapons, nor vests. They cannot do that. And you can donate as little as $1. They have donated over, I believe, 70,000 bulletproof vests in 30 years. Actually, Invest and ARC were both founded in 1983. Fun fact. And Invest is also doing something that is dovetailing actually with ARC. I put them in touch. BAR, Broken Arrow Ranch, which is to make sure that the kids who are rescued don't fall right back into the trafficked system. So ARC, you can go in there and you can help them, and Invest, you can also go in there and help them. And lastly is the Church of the Barbarian Spirit. That's my buddy Clay Martin, Special Forces. It is a group to where Special Forces veterans are helping other Special Forces veterans in unconventional ways, be it fasting, be it psychedelics, be it just face-to-face talking to reduce suicide rates. And as you guys know, suicide is very near and dear to me. So those are 3 groups that I really think are actively trying to make the world a better place instead of just talking about it. If you guys could just go check them out, go share their links, go do whatever you can. If you can donate, go donate. If not, that's cool too. But, long after I'm dead, and long after you guys are gone, I want the lasting impact of this podcast to be something that's genuinely helped the world. So if you guys can go check those out, that would be insanely appreciated. Thank you so much.